we know
cervical.
what kind they are?
Number one, we're going to go by size.
Okay.
Obviously, the biggest one is lumbar. Right?
This one.
The smallest one should be
Cervical.
cervical. Now, you can look at those two, right, and say, well, they look similar, right? And the problem is I have to disarticulate a couple of these guys, and I'll get one that's a little bit bigger than him. But if you're not sure, what distinguishes a cervical from a thoracic?
This transverse foramen.
So if you're going to look at that, if I just have those three there, if you know that they have the transverse foramen, then by default, that's our thoracic.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we look at structures, all right, the whole big part here, that's the vertebral body, right? We have this part that sticks off the body, right? That is the pedicle. Then we have this part that goes from here, and they meet in the middle, right? That's the lamina. And then the lamina meet in the middle and form the spinous process, all right? If we go back to the side, we have this piece sticking off. That's the transverse process. And then if we look, we do have a flat spot there, a flat spot there. If we flip them, those are the articulating facets, and again, that's where they would articulate with the bone above our bone. All right.
So this is like a lamina, right?
Yeah. So if I'm pointing, I would point right here at the lamina. From here, if that's the pedicle, that's the spinous. It runs from the pedicle to the spinous.
Okay.
So the lamina itself would be there. Okay. And that's all. I think everything you need to know on that. Now the cool thing is, once you know it on one, then if we go to the lumbar. This is the vertebral body. We have the part that comes off the body. That's the pedicle. We have the part that runs from the pedicle to the spinous. So all of this is lamina. Right? That's our spinous process. We're looking at the big hole. That's the vertebral foramen. We have our little pieces sticking off. That's the transverse process. And then we look for our flat spots. We have a flat spot there and there. And we have a flat spot there and there. So that is the articulating facets. Okay. So all the same from there to there. If we look at the typical cervical vertebra, again, we're looking at the body, right? We're looking at the transverse process, right? We're looking, if I'm looking from here to here, that's the pedicle. That's our spinous process, so therefore the lamina have to run from here to here, right? There's our big opening. That's a vertebral foramen. And if I'm looking for flat spot, flat spot, flat spot, flat spot, right? That is the articulating facets. The only thing that we really add in here are these. All right, and don't get confused with this. I mean, like I said, that shouldn't be there. You know, that's just how it was held together. The only thing that's not really clear on these guys, like I said, if you look at this, these guys should be what is considered bifid. So if I'm looking at this here, it starts to have that indentation. That is what's considered a bifid. Normally a spinous just comes back as a solid piece altogether, but the cervicals tend to have that piece. All right. Now, if we look at our two specials, right, then that's these guys. And again, Axis, C2, Atlas, C1. These have all the normal pieces that everything else does. All right. So what do I mean by that? This is the body. All right. That's the transverse processes. There's our transverse foramen. There's our flat spots. So that's the articulating facets. All right. There's our big hole. Right. So that is the vertebral foramen. Here's our spinous process. This is the lamina. Right. And then the pedicles then would be from here to here. So it has all the normal things. The only thing that C2 has, though, it has this little extra piece. And that is the odontoid process or the dent, D-E-N-S, either one. All right. Now, Atlas, again, what we talked about him, what is he missing? He's missing the body. We said that's the body. So, but otherwise, if we look at that, here's our articulating facets, right? Here's our transverse foramen. Transverse process. There's our transverse foramen, right? And where it also gets different here, I guess typically this will probably be the pedicle underneath the facets. But this piece that we normally call the lamina on Atlas is known as the posterior ring of Atlas. If that's the posterior part, then we have a little one in the front. That's called the anterior ring. So remember that it sits like that, right? Remember that these parts are the things in the back of the neck. So remember that's the front. So when I throw it out there by itself, you're still in nowhere that's anterior and that's posterior.
And the indented part is the bifid?
Yeah, this should be the bifid spinous process.
Alright.
Not demonstrated really well, but the cervicals are the only ones that have it.
Okay.
Good? All right.